Richard Taylor, a 71-year-old retired engineer from Detroit, watched his neighbor lose everything after a catastrophic medical diagnosis. Despite having substantial investments, his neighbor was forced to liquidate his assets at market lows to cover mounting healthcare costs. The bills kept coming, the market kept falling, and eventually he had to sell his home to pay for care, Richard recalls. Meanwhile, my paid-off house remained untouchable throughout the financial crisis. When creditors and circumstances threatened financial ruin, my home stood as an impenetrable fortress that protected my family and preserved our dignity. Have you ever wondered why some seniors weather financial storms with remarkable resilience, while others, with seemingly similar resources, find themselves financially devastated by unexpected crises? Could the strategic decision to prioritize mortgage elimination represent the most powerful defensive move in the modern senior financial arsenal? Today, we're exploring a revolutionary perspective on home ownership, one based not on conventional financial calculations about investment returns, but on the pragmatic, protective strategic principles first articulated by Niccolò Machiavelli in Renaissance Italy. While financial advisors often encourage seniors to maintain mortgages and invest the difference, strategic thinking reveals that a paid-off home provides something far more valuable than potential investment gains: an unassailable fortress that protects you from the uncertainties of an increasingly volatile world. The disconnect between conventional mortgage advice and strategic security isn't just a matter of financial calculations. It is a fundamental difference in priorities. Financial advisors focus on mathematical returns and opportunity costs, often encouraging seniors to maintain mortgages to leverage historically low interest rates. Strategic thinkers, however, understand that true security comes not from maximizing theoretical returns, but from minimizing catastrophic vulnerabilities. Consider the first Machiavellian principle crucial for senior financial security: the priority of security over other interests. This means making financial safety your primary consideration, even when it means sacrificing potential gains or impressive-sounding investment opportunities. Unlike younger adults with decades to recover from financial setbacks, seniors need to prioritize protection against worst-case scenarios. Susan Williams, a retired teacher from Minneapolis, applied this principle after witnessing several friends face financial disaster during the 2008 housing crisis. "I ignored the advisors who told me to keep my mortgage and invest the money instead. By paying off my home, I created an uncomplicated, understandable security that no market crash or economic theory could undermine." The second core principle involves what Machiavelli recognized as creating an unassailable position. In the volatile world of modern finance, few assets provide the protective power of a fully owned home. Unlike investments subject to market fluctuations, a paid-off home creates a permanent reduction in living expenses, a significant asset protected by homestead laws in many states, and psychological security that enhances decision-making during crises. Thomas Anderson from Portland implemented this principle by prioritizing mortgage elimination despite contrary advice. "My financial advisor called it inefficient to pay off my 3.5% mortgage when investments might return 7%. But when I lost my part-time consulting work during the pandemic, having no mortgage payment meant the difference between financial stress and financial stability. That's a return on investment no market could guarantee." The third essential principle for senior financial security is what strategic thinkers call reducing areas of vulnerability. Every monthly financial obligation represents a potential point of failure during times of hardship. By eliminating your mortgage payment, typically the largest financial obligation most seniors face, you dramatically reduce your vulnerability to income disruptions, market volatility, and unexpected expenses. Barbara Nelson, a retired accountant from Phoenix, applies this principle through what she calls her fortress-first approach. Johnny Suvi watched too many sophisticated investment strategies collapse when unexpected health costs or market downturns forced untimely liquidations. "My paid-off home means my basic security remains intact, regardless of what happens in the markets or with my other investments." By applying these strategic principles, you develop a financial approach that prioritizes genuine security over theoretical gains, creating what Machiavelli would recognize as an unassailable position in an increasingly uncertain world. In our next section, we'll explore practical protection strategies that translate these principles into specific actions, including techniques for accelerating mortgage elimination, protecting your home from creditors, and leveraging your fortress position for greater financial freedom. Having established the fundamental strategic principles of home ownership as a defensive fortress, let us explore specific protection strategies that translate these concepts into practical actions. These approaches will help you accelerate mortgage elimination, fortify your home against potential threats, and maximize the strategic advantages of your fortress position. The first protective strategy involves implementing what I call the accelerated fortress buildings approach to mortgage elimination. This goes beyond making occasional extra payments and instead treats mortgage elimination as a comprehensive financial priority. This systematic approach includes redirecting windfalls, tax refunds, inheritances, bonuses, strategically refinancing to shorter terms when advantageous, making bi-weekly instead of monthly payments, and consistently increasing payment amounts as other debts are eliminated. William Chen from Raleigh accelerated his mortgage payoff using this systematic approach. I created a visual mortgage freedom chart on my refrigerator and tracked every extra payment. Each time I eliminated another debt, I added that payment amount to my mortgage. I paid off a 30-year mortgage in just 12 years without significantly changing my lifestyle, simply by making mortgage freedom my primary financial focus. The second protection strategy focuses on creating what Machiavellian strategists would recognize as legal fortifications around your home. This involves understanding and utilizing the specific homestead protections available in your state, properly titling your property to maximize creditor protection, considering appropriate trust structures in some circumstances, and maintaining adequate insurance coverage against physical threats to your property. Margaret Baker, a retired attorney from Tampa, implemented this approach after completing her mortgage payments. I researched my state's homestead exemption laws, filed the appropriate declarations with county records, updated my property title to the most protective form for my situation, and ensured my insurance covered modern threats like identity theft that could lead to property liens. These steps transformed my home from merely paid off to legally fortified. The third practical strategy involves implementing strategic expense reduction once mortgage freedom is achieved. This means systematically redirecting the funds previously allocated to mortgage payments toward eliminating remaining debts, building liquid emergency reserves, and creating additional passive income streams. Unlike the conventional approach that often treats mortgage elimination as an opportunity to increase lifestyle spending, the strategic approach leverages this victory to build additional security layers. James Wilson from Seattle employed this strategy after paying off his mortgage at age 62. Instead of increasing our lifestyle, my wife and I continued living as if we still had a mortgage payment for the next 3 years. We directed that money toward eliminating our remaining debts and building a 2-year expense reserve. This approach transformed our financial situation from stable to virtually unassailable. Your fourth protection strategy should include developing a strategic optionality position that leverages your paid-off home to create flexibility rather than tapping its equity. This means maintaining your fortress benefits while creating conditional access plans to home equity through pre-approved lines of credit, reverse mortgage qualifications, or other liquidity options that remain available but unused unless absolutely necessary. Patricia Garcia, a retired business owner from Cleveland, established this strategic position after paying off her mortgage. I secured a home equity line of credit while my income and credit score were strong, then put the documents in my safe without touching the funds. This arrangement provides emergency access to capital without the monthly costs and risks of actually borrowing against my home. The line exists solely as a last resort protection against catastrophic expenses. These practical protection strategies create a system that transforms your home from a simple financial asset into a strategic fortress that provides both physical security and financial protection. By implementing these approaches, you establish a position of strength that enhances your resilience against economic uncertainty, health challenges, and other potential threats to your financial security. In our next section, we'll explore strategies for managing the relationships and pressures that might threaten your fortress position, including techniques for handling contrary financial advice, family expectations, and the subtle social pressures that often undermine strategic financial decisions. Having established the strategic principles and protection strategies for creating your home fortress, let us now focus on effectively managing the relationships and social pressures that might threaten your fortress position. This area is particularly important because conventional financial wisdom often directly contradicts the strategic security approach we've outlined. The first critical element in defending your fortress mentality is what Machiavellian strategists would recognize as selective expertise filtration, the careful evaluation of financial advice based on the advisor's priorities and incentives rather than their credentials alone. Many financial professionals are trained in mathematical optimization rather than strategic security, leading them to recommend maintaining mortgages based on calculations that fail to value the intangible benefits of fortress ownership. Robert Johnson, a retired professor from Nashville, describes his approach. When my financial advisor insisted I was making a mistake by prioritizing mortgage elimination, I asked him a simple question. If you had perfect certainty that a major financial crisis would occur sometime in the next decade, would your advice change? His telling response, well, yes, in that case, paying off the mortgage makes sense, revealed everything about the assumptions underlying his recommendation. For managing family expectations around your home equity, implement the strategic principle of boundary establishment through policy creation. This involves developing clear, consistent policies about home equity access that apply equally to all situations and relationships, removing the emotional dimension from individual requests and protecting both your financial security and family relationships. Carol Martinez from Boston established such boundaries after facing repeated suggestions from family members about accessing her home equity. I created simple, clear policies that I shared with my adult children. My home equity remains untouched except in specific emergency scenarios. It is not available for investment opportunities or loans, and these rules apply without exception. Setting these boundaries actually improved our relationship by eliminating ongoing negotiations. When facing social pressure about smarter financial moves, utilize the Machiavellian technique of strategic conviction display. This involves confidently explaining your fortress strategy as a deliberate, sophisticated choice, rather than defensively justifying it against conventional wisdom. This approach often transforms skepticism into respect while reinforcing your own commitment to your strategy. Linda Jackson, a retired healthcare worker from Denver, employs this approach when friends question her decision to prioritize mortgage elimination. Rather than becoming defensive, I calmly explain that my strategy prioritizes protection against worst-case scenarios over optimization for best-case scenarios. I describe it as a chess player, focusing on an unassailable defensive position rather than a risky attack. This confident framing usually transforms criticism into curiosity. For handling financial institutions that continuously attempt to tap your home equity through loan solicitations, implement what strategic thinkers call systematic proposal rejection. This involves developing automatic mental filters that immediately categorize such offers as threats to your security, rather than opportunities regardless of their attractive terms or limited time nature. David Martinez from Austin describes his approach. I now view home equity loan offers the same way I view suggestions to remove my home security system to save on monitoring fees. The small financial benefit isn't worth compromising my foundational security. This mental reframing makes dismissing these offers automatic, rather than requiring case-by-case evaluation. Remember that in all these relationship dynamics, perception management remains crucial. How you present your financial strategy directly impacts how others respond to it. By framing your fortress approach as a sophisticated strategic choice rather than simple debt aversion, you change how others perceive and respect your decisions. Elizabeth Kim, a retired executive from Atlanta, notes the impact of this framing. I never say, "Oh, I hate debt," when explaining my paid-off home, as this triggers lectures about good debt. Instead, I explain that I am implementing a financial security strategy used by strategic thinkers throughout history, who understood that eliminating vulnerabilities provides greater protection than maximizing theoretical gains. This sophisticated framing typically ends the debate and often generates genuine respect. In our final section, we'll integrate these principles and strategies into a comprehensive system for creating and maintaining your financial fortress, with specific emphasis on implementation timelines, progress measurement, and adapting these approaches to different financial circumstances. We have explored the strategic principles, protection strategies, and relationship management techniques for creating your home fortress. Now let us integrate these elements into a comprehensive system that transforms theoretical understanding into practical implementation regardless of your current position. This integrated approach begins with what I call the fortress building framework, a systematic process for creating home-based financial security adapted to your specific circumstances. Unlike conventional approaches that treat mortgage elimination as just another financial goal, this framework positions it as the cornerstone of strategic financial security. The first component involves implementing a mortgage freedom timeline with specific milestones and victory conditions. This goes beyond vague intentions to eliminate your mortgage and instead creates a detailed battle plan with concrete targets. This timeline should include quarterly goals, celebration points at specific milestones, every 10% of principal eliminated, and clear visualization of progress to maintain motivation during this extended campaign. Jennifer Lewis, a retired government employee from Minneapolis, created her timeline using a distinctive approach. I developed what I called my Freedom Calendar, with 180 monthly squares representing my 15-year mortgage. Each month I eliminated a square, calculated my growing equity, and visualized the fortress walls rising higher. This tangible representation kept me motivated when friends were using their money for more immediately gratifying purchases. When implementing this framework, develop what strategic thinkers call resource concentration by systematically redirecting financial resources toward fortress building. This means critically examining every expense and financial decision through the lens of how it impacts your mortgage elimination timeline, potentially including temporary lifestyle adjustments, redirecting investment contributions, or leveraging additional income sources. Michael Thompson, a retired teacher from San Diego, applied this principle by creating a comprehensive resource redirection plan. I identified 7 different money sources to redirect toward mortgage elimination: tax refunds, a reduced vacation budget, my annual bonus, scaled-back holiday spending, income from a weekend hobby, dividend payments, and my traditional annual raise. None of these individual streams seemed significant, but together they reduced my mortgage term by 11 years. As you progress through fortress building, implement a measurement system focused on what Machiavelli would recognize as vulnerability reduction, rather than just equity accumulation. Track both the decreasing mortgage balance and the increased security it provides, including reduced monthly obligations, protection from housing market fluctuations, and increasing leverage in financial negotiations. Mary Patel, a retired nurse from Raleigh, created a dual tracking system. Beyond charting my declining mortgage balance, I maintained a security index that calculated how many months my emergency fund would last based on my decreasing mandatory monthly expenses. Watching this security metric steadily increase provided even greater motivation than seeing the mortgage balance fall. For those already in the fortress position with paid-off homes, implement a fortress leverage system that maximizes the strategic advantages of your position without compromising its security. This includes using your reduced expenses to build additional security layers, creating strategic optionality through pre-approved but unused credit lines, and potentially leveraging your stability to pursue opportunities that would be too risky for those with monthly mortgage obligations. Joseph Rodriguez from Phoenix employs this approach in his retirement. My paid-off home lets me consider part-time work options based solely on interest rather than income requirements, maintain a more conservative investment allocation without sacrificing lifestyle, and sleep soundly during market downturns. The psychological freedom this creates has value far beyond any investment return I might have earned by keeping a mortgage. The contrast between conventional mortgage wisdom and the fortress approach represents fundamentally different priorities. Conventional wisdom emphasizes mathematical optimization, opportunity costs, and tax advantages. The fortress approach prioritizes vulnerability reduction, strategic positioning, and unassailable security in an increasingly unpredictable world. This difference does not mean mathematical considerations are irrelevant. Rather, it means such calculations should include the immense value of security, optionality, and peace of mind, benefits that rarely appear on financial statements but significantly impact both financial outcomes and quality of life, particularly during turbulent times. Kenneth Davis, a retired business owner from Portland, summarizes the impact of this approach. The financial experts told me keeping my mortgage was the smart move mathematically. What their calculations missed was the value of being untouchable during the financial crisis, pandemic, and personal health challenges my family faced. While friends with optimized finances faced sleepless nights and forced liquidations, my paid-off home provided a security no investment return could match. If you've found value in these insights, please support our channel by hitting the like button and subscribing for more strategic wisdom adapted for senior finances. Share this information with friends and family who might benefit from this alternative to conventional mortgage advice. Together, we can build a community of strategically minded seniors who prioritize unassailable security over theoretical financial optimization. Remember, in an increasingly uncertain world, creating your financial fortress might be the most powerful strategic move available to you. While others optimize for best-case scenarios, the strategic thinker builds a position that remains secure regardless of what the future holds.